Hi everyone! I'm so excited to be here in Beyond the Read. Thank you very much for having me. So I'm just adjusting that so you can see me properly. And let me just check on the other one if I can see myself, just to make sure. Yeah, there I am. Wonderful. I am live indeed. How wonderful. Now I just have to wait for you guys to join me. So I know it's lunchtime in America now. So it's evening in Germany already, which is why I have the blinds down, which I tend to do anyway, because otherwise you kind of get backlight. And that doesn't make for good lighting for live videos. So in either way, I usually have that closed, but it is actually evening here and dark outside. So I'm very, very excited about being here. I'm quite a little bit nervous, but I'm very happy also. And I would love to thank all the admins for inviting me and having me here. Thank you so much. So yeah, I do go live quite a bit on my own social media, Facebook places, and then put all the recordings on the somebody's watching. Hey. Hi, Shaw. So yeah, but it's always a lot more exciting when you're in somebody else's group live, isn't it, than when you're in your own. But anyway, I'm very happy to see. So let me just introduce myself. My name is Tirza Schaefer. I'm an author, as the name says on top. And apart from that, I'm also a spiritual healer and goddess coach. So I kind of, you can't contain me in a box, I've kind of put everything a little bit in my work, even though in my romance novels, you won't actually notice that there's like goddess themes in there, the archetypal themes that I'm working through as well, because it's just part of the storyline. But it is in there. So I love doing, all that, mixing it all up and things. So yeah, I've got on my website, which is tirzaschaefer.com, all the links are in the description. You can look that up. I've got a free divine library, so you can browse there. There's things pages about goddesses, crystals, god, power, animals. And with the tarot, I've gone through the major arcana so far, but I'm concentrating a lot more on writing this year. So I've published 25 books so far. 21 of them are romance novels. Her harem series, which I'm going to read as the second excerpt that I'm going to read to you, is, I think, is it? Yeah, it is. It's actually my first reverse harem that I've published. Not I'm writing, but I've published. And I've got another one which is not yet published, but I'm going to read to you from that one as well. Hi, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. That's lovely. So glad to see you here. Yeah, so that's me. 25 books and more in the making, basically. So her harem series is going to be the first one. Black Veil is for free, apart from on Amazon, because they charge 99 cents minimum. But anyway, you can just click on the link, go to any other bookstore. It's all there, free choice, and you can actually download that for free, okay? And on top of that, there's bonus gifts in there, meaning that you have teasers from all my other previously published books, so romance books. So you can pick and choose from that as well. Whatever you like, So let me start with, there's this one here. Drew, which is Band of Brothers, and don't get confused, because this is a paperback, but I've just created new covers for all my books. So so I am actually This is the first one of a trilogy, which is the second. This one, the first one is Drew, second one Z, and the third one is Rico and Chad. That's going to be a menage. So this first one is about a poet who is on a convention in Las Vegas, a poetry convention, and she wins first prize there, and she meets this group team of Marines. Right. Hi, Candace. No problem. I'm so happy that you're joining. Thank you so much. It's so pretty and looks familiar. Yes. I believe you got that, didn't you? So, yeah, so here we go. So there is in chapter 3, it starts with a poem because they're asking, that team of Marines actually ask her, could you please, recite a poem for us? So she does. And she's been kind of play dancing around with them before, just, taking some pictures. And one of them has done a little tango dance with her. So that's probably what inspired that. So that's what she's reciting here in the first place. Tossing, whirling, slamming back against your hardness, I'm following your every lead. At the slightest move of a finger, the atmosphere between us is charged with electricity. As you control me so easily, I surrender, yet I hold my head up proud, playing, pretending to push and pull between us. Rises to a crescendo of sensations. My core is flooded, and the aching need deep down in my belly intensifies when I pull away. Yet you rein me in. Once again, our bodies melt into oneness. Your power throbs, spreading through my soul. My longing grows with one gaze into your smoldering eyes. As we dance, you and me, together, apart, together again. Our souls connect in a way that our bodies cannot yet fulfill. I quiver under your touch when your fingers run a trail of fire down my front, but stopping short before reaching the painful need inside me. I'm close, so very close to exploding. One touch is all it takes for me to become one with the stars. Alas, that longed-for touch, it never comes. And so we dance, our sweet pain a torture expressed in liquid motion. All too soon, the music fades and I am left bereft, with nothing but the sweetest memory, the pulsing of the universe, distilled to a drum at the apex of my slick thighs in unfulfilled need. So you can imagine the guys like that. I'm not going to read more from this book now, though, because there's more to come. But I hope you like that. And I also actually got 2 poetry books. One's with spiritual poetry. There are like 174 in there. And then there's another one which has 66 poems in there, and it's called Love Expressed. There you go. That's the paperback. It's now got like a white front with a heart kind of tattoo, heart pink one here. So that's the new look. And there's 66 love, romantic and sensual poems in there. So yeah, that is that. So now we're going to come to the longer parts, which is Seals in Spain. Book 1 is Tank, and there's 3 guys. So the trilogy is book 1 is Tank. That's the biggest guy. He's like a mountain of a man, with really huge muscles and everything, long hair, and that. So the second one is Dom, short for Dominic, and he's actually a Spanish ex-special forces, now businessman. And the other 2 are American ex-Navy SEALs. And then the third one is Seb, and short for Sebastian, and he looks like a Viking, a bit of a Ragnar look. So they all have their own book to come, but it is a reverse harem story that goes all the way through, so should be read in order then. Hi, J. Marie and Ira. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. So I'll start reading from that. Oh yeah, and they are very rich, so that they share a house, and they, amongst other employees, they do have a French cook who is very volatile, of course, as you imagine French cooks to be, But he's got a heart of gold, and everything, just revolves around food for him. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for joining. So this is chapter 13, actually, a healthy dose of crunchy honey. The next time she woke, Tank walked into the room with the smell of fresh coffee. With best wishes from your fan, Henry, he grinned. He took one look at me and asked whether you were all right. It made Sarah laugh, and Tank fell in. He said, "But she is so petite, and you're so ouch." He imitated Henri's accent perfectly, which had Sarah in stitches. At last she took the coffee from him. "How do you feel?" she asked, serious now. "Very happy." "Good." She kissed his lips and sipped her coffee. Delicious. "Do you speak French?" "Yes," Tank answered simply. "Fluent?" she asked. "Yes." "Do I have to pour everything out of your nose?" she asked in exasperation. "Why?" "Because that sounds like there's more." "More of what?" "Languages, obviously. You speak English and Spanish as well." "You're very perceptive," Tank remarked with a grin that told her he was teasing her. "What else?" she demanded. "Ancient languages, Egyptian, Sumerian, Greek, and Latin. Modern Greek, Italian, Russian, Arabic, Romanian, Bulgarian, Portuguese, Bahasa, that's Indonesian, and Malay." Sarah showed off her knowledge that she at least knew what it was. Talking to a genius could be intimidating at times. "Saya kecil. I'm small," she said. Tank laughed. "What else?" "I only know a few words and songs," she said. "What other languages do you speak?" "Samoan?" "Yes, and Hawaiian, Sanskrit, and Gaelic." "You like ancient history?" Sarah asked. "Dom got me into it first." "Wow, I like that too. I channel messages from the deities, but not in Egyptian or so, but in English," she giggled. "I'm not a genius. I'm not good at learning things by heart, so vocabulary is a challenge." "Would you like to learn another language?" Tank asked. "Spanish." "Because you live here now?" "Because it's beautiful. It makes my heart melt inside," Sarah said. "Wow, that explains your reaction when I sang to you." "It was mainly the fact that you did," Sarah admitted. "And you have a beautiful voice. The language, of course, as well. And that you play the guitar so well. And that you look so damn wild and sexy and fierce, and yet can be so gentle." She leaned her head back against the pillows and sighed when she indulged in the memory of it all. "I play several instruments," Tank said. "Are we through with the languages yet?" she asked. "I speak 32 fluently," he told her. "I'll have to write a list. And how many instruments?" Pretty everything with strings, all that you blow into, and percussions," he said. "The percussions suit me, right?" Sarah smirked. "I was just going to say that. So what's your IQ?" He sighed heavily. "Tell me," she demanded. 189, he grumbled. "Wow, you beat Walter by 2 points." "Who the hell is Walter?" he asked, and looked decidedly jealous. "From Team Scorpion," she explained, liking that he cared enough already to be jealous. "It's a TV series." Tank blew out a breath and grumbled something unintelligible, which made Sarah laugh. "They're all geniuses, apart from one woman who knows how to handle them and has the highest EQ," she explained. "I used to watch that with my young is a nerd. She loves to learn new things. You're very proud of her? Tank asked quietly. Oh, yes. Of all three of my children. They're intelligent, make their own way in life, they're caring and compassionate. That's because of you. You're a great mom. How do you know? It's how you handle people, he said, then hesitated as he brought up the elephant in the room. He was thinking of how she handled her three men and was wondering whether they'd ever be allowed to come out to her children. When I'm sure about us, all of us, I will tell them. But I need to know that it's for keeps. Now it's too early, she said. We'd understand if you didn't. You needn't worry about that. Telling your children you have three boyfriends isn't all that easy, Tank hurried to assure her. I'm not like that. When I love someone, I don't hide them like a dirty secret. Love is never anything to be ashamed of, Sarah told him with determination. You're really wonderful, Tank said with admiration in his voice. Thank you. So are you. Do you want me to come with you to England and help you pack? He offered suddenly. Tears gathered in her eyes. She had never been with such a kind and considerate man in her life. It was exhilarating. You would do that for me? She asked in a small, choked voice. Of course. Dom and Seb can't leave. They'll pay for the removal guys and shipping, of course. Well, we all do, obviously. But you may want a man around to handle the guys. Thank you. If you're sure, I'd like that very much, she said. Hi, Stephanie. Jenny. I wouldn't have suggested it if I didn't mean it. Drink your coffee, get ready, have some breakfast, and then I'll take you shopping, okay? Or do you want to see Pearl again first? Yes, please, Sarah said, nodding her agreement. He kissed her brow. It was such a sweet and tender gesture that Sarah's heart cracked open a little more. Tank left her to go to the workshop and told her to come and tell him when she was ready to leave. Walking was extremely difficult, and when she sat down in the kitchen, Henri gave her a pitiful look. You belong to them now? He asked quietly, concern in his voice. I'm on the best way there, I guess, she relented. After that giant had you in his claws? I like giants, she giggled. Petite, small doesn't satisfy me. Henri's eyes widened. But you must be torn apart. Only a little sore because it's been a long time, she said with a sigh. Mango? Henri offered. She nodded with a grateful smile, but declined the omelette he offered next, telling him she'd rather have some bread and cheese instead. But no weird stinky stuff. Henri took cheese boxes from the fridge and showed her. These are not stinky stuff, he huffed. Henri, don't be mad, only because I don't like stinky feet cheese, please. Merde! Don't look at me from those big blue eyes like this. You will break my heart. You're being melodramatic. I'm a French chef. That goes with the job description? She asked. Bien sûr, of course, he told her indignantly, like that was something that everyone should know. What kind of bread do you like? Brown with seeds and nuts, if you have, Sarah asked. Ah, men, no. The men don't eat that. I will bake one for you, so you have it tomorrow morning. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Henri, Sarah said with a genuinely grateful smile. I'll have some baguette then, if you have. I always have baguette, he told her proudly. The best in all of France. In that case, I'm glad you don't have brown bread, Sarah told him in an attempt to mollify the sensitive chef, and sniffed at the cheeses. One slice of camembert, 2 of brie, and some of this ghost cheese. Are those olives in there? She asked when Henri handed her the bread. Oui, yes. Lovely, and some honey. You like sweet honey or with a little taste? Sarah grinned wickedly to herself. A little bitter is perfect, she told him. Why is that funny? Henri asked suspiciously. Oh, it just reminded me of something. Sarah evaded the question. It's hard to explain. Very hard, she thought. And gigantic and yummy. But Henri didn't need to know that. When she tasted the honey, her eyes widened. It tasted exactly like Tank. It tastes exactly the same, she murmured in surprise. What does? Tank's voice asked from behind her. Here, try this honey, she said, turning around with a smile. He walked up to her and licked it off her finger. It tastes exactly like my cum, Tank said in surprise, making Henri groan because that was more information than the chef could handle. I will never eat honey anymore in all my life. Hard to explain indeed, he muttered. Tank chuckled. It's always very hard. I can nail a coffin shut with it, he teased Henri, who jumped back from him. Be nice, Sarah intervened and slapped Tank's wrist lightly. He cooks so well for you, you should appreciate him more. Yes, thank you, mon ange. I don't get any appreciation from my bosses. They take me for granted. Considering what we pay you, that's total bullshit, Tank told Henri dryly. You know we do that because we couldn't live without you. Henri clutched at his heart. This is the first time you ever said that. Henri had tears in his eyes. Oh, Henri, Sarah called out, jumped up and gave the man a hug. You know Tank doesn't say much. But the other two talk like washerwomen, but never thank you, Henri. We appreciate you, Henri. Your cooking is the best in the world, Henri. At that moment, they heard the front door shut with a loud bang. I forgot my folder, Henri. Leave your hands off my woman. She is merely consoling a friend. And she is not only your woman, is she? The giant has already torn her to pieces. What? Dom stopped and looked at Sarah, who shook her head. No, he didn't. I was there. I've seen it, Dom said. She told him to go harder. If she saw now, you really don't have to feel sorry for her. Tank was very careful at first. You watched? Henri gasped with his jaw on the floor. Of course. It was our first time. Ah, there it is, my folder. Right, have to go and leave your hands off her regardless. We don't share her around, I swear. I'd have fired you at least a dozen times if you weren't the world's best cook, and we couldn't do without you. But I can still punch you. Dom, he's not sharing me. We're friends, Henri. See? He said it. He also threatened to punch me, Henri called out with indignation. Concentrate on the positive, Sarah told him. I won't let that happen, I promise. Tank snorted at that. Tank, seriously, he's never touched me inappropriately. I would never disrespect a woman. I am not barbaric. I worship women. I give orgasm to their taste buds, their palate. That is how I make love, Henri declared passionately. Then keep making love to me, Sarah said, patting him on the back. Tank bristled, and Dom shouted from the door, I heard that. Do I have to spank you when I come home tonight? Yes, please, she called back, laughing. He hits you? Henri gasped, aghast. It's only a game, Sarah assured her. But he hits you. Henri, would you eat a really hot chili pepper? Mais non, that would kill me, he answered in confusion at the sudden change in subject. But he'd take a little bit of it, of a milder one, and cook with it to spice up certain dishes. Mais oui, with a hint of spice, the palate explodes, and Henri suddenly stopped as realization dawned on him. You explode? Yes. He doesn't really hurt you? No, he'd never really hurt me, Sarah assured the chef gently. He plays with my mind to make it explode. Ah, so you are a connoisseur of refined things. Yes, But what would life be like without enjoying some healthy raw food, right? She asked and picked up a piece of carrot, biting into it with a crunch. That hard crunch. She walked over to the honey jar, spooned a little out, and dribbled it over the rest of the carrot. Careful, it's dripping, Henri warned. Sarah put the carrot into her mouth and ate it. Wicked combination, she said. Oh, the carrot, the honey, that's him, Henri said, looking at Tank, who grinned back with a self-satisfied smirk. I've never been likened to a carrot with honey, Sarah giggled. You have to speak people's language, Daddy, she said flirtatiously and moved into his arms. You may speak fluent French, but I speak chef. Tank drew her onto his lap and kissed her deeply, his lips still curled in a chuckle. Hey, you! Henri shouted. No crunchy honey in my kitchen. So that was chapter 13 from my upcoming book, Seals in Spain. Fans. Thank you. Oh, lovely. Make love to me too. Thank you for your lovely comments. Hi, Skylar. Good to see you. So that was Tank Seals in Spain, chapter 13, which is going to come out this month. I haven't got a pre-order link yet. I'm hoping to get it out for Valentine's Day. In any case, the next one that I'm reading to you about is already out, and that is Black Veil, which is actually very short one. But you get it for free. It's the first part of a 12-part series, so there'll be one every month. And I don't think I'll make the next one for Valentine's Day, which would have been great, but, I try my best. But, if I can't make it, it'll come out sometime this February anyway. And, yeah, I've read chapter 1 and a couple of other places, and which is also on my YouTube channel, so you can have a look there. Mercedes, hi. You can have a look there if you like it. There's some recordings. There's like weekly oracle card readings. As I said, I'm also a spiritual healer and card reader and things like that. So it's a good mix of everything. So, like, you get a bit of the esoteric side and a bit of a lot of hot stuff. So yeah, but it's like all the way through different subjects, and I like it. I'm multi-passionate with the emphasis on passionate. So yeah, so I thought this time I'll read chapter 2 to you, and the next 11 books are going to be a bit longer. This Black Veil itself is only 3. It's like a prequel thing. It's only 3 chapters, but it's free, and you get teasers from all my other previously published books in there. So you can work your way through and see whichever one you like to read in full then. As I said, it's all free when you don't go on Amazon. Amazon is 99 cents. Anyway, there you go. So now we're going to do chapter 2 of Black Veil, which is a SEAL team in the marshes in southeastern Iraq. Find this couple. The man is kind of sunk into this lake, and they pull him out, and the woman is quite fiery. So this is chapter 2 now. In a moment, Liam had lifted the woman away from the slick, torn off the reminders of her veils and secured her with zip ties. She was screaming now, sure he wanted to rape her, and crying for her companion, whose name obviously was Shaheen. The man himself roared and worked himself only deeper into the mud in a vain attempt to get out and defend his woman. Liam left her lying, took the veils, tore them in strips, and tied them up. It was astonishing how quickly the woman started to sob again, this time with relief when she saw what Liam was doing. He threw the makeshift rope like a lasso, and Shahin quickly worked it over his head and arms, securing it around his torso. The woman shuffled towards him now, offering her wrists in an effort to make him understand that she would help him if he let her loose. Liam only shook his head. He couldn't risk her snatching the gun while he was busy pulling out her lover. Liam made a gesture that told her clearly to stay down and put. "Look here," she protested again. Liam dropped his end of the rope. She sobbed again and shuffled back to where he had put her, lifting her hands as if in prayer, begging him. Liam nodded, took up the end of the rope and pulled. He had only moved Shahin a few inches when his team arrived. Without a word, they spread out, one positioning himself as the sentinel beside the woman and another helping Liam pull the rope. The two of them together took turns with their teammates so they could always rest between bouts of straining themselves. At last, with a loud sucking noise, Shahin lay on the ground beside them, turned on his back and started to laugh with sheer relief. Liam patted his shoulder, laughing with him, and then Shahin lay on the ground beside them. And then Shahin turned to him and hugged him tight. Liam smiled, and they helped each other up. Tia gave his scarf to the woman while he untied her. She ran to her man, hugged him tightly, but instead of hugging her back, he gently disentangled himself and very respectfully took a step back. Then he turned to Liam. "I owe you my life and that of my charge. We are on the run from the Iranian side and seek asylum. Will you grant us your protection and help us get out of this country? Because Iraq, by now, is only a satellite state of Iran, and we would not be safe here, not even in Syria. We must go further." "Do I look like a travel agent to you?" Liam gruffed. "I meant no disrespect. We will, of course, show our gratitude. I cannot offer you any money right now, but when we get to Europe—" "Shahin!" The woman hissed to silence her companion, obviously still suspicious of the man whom she had been told from childhood were the enemy. Shahin's gaze steeled on her, and she shrunk back and lowered her head a fraction. "You must forgive her, but she has been through a lot," Shahin excused her. "That is more than understandable. Please tell her I only needed her clothes to rescue you, and I secured her so she wouldn't go for the gun. None of us are rapists. We have sworn an oath to protect those weaker than us. Unfortunately, we will have to search her now for concealed weapons. And as you see, there is no woman here who could do this, but I will be totally professional. No groping, okay? Will you explain that to her and tell her to trust me, please?" "I will never trust you," the woman hissed. "Oh, so you speak our language," Liam said, and exchanged a big grin with his teammates. "All the better. In any case, I will search you now. She has a knife strapped to her leg. Please allow her to take it off herself," Shahin begged in an effort to retain some of her dignity. Liam nodded at the woman, and she turned away from them, lifted her skirts and unstrapped the knife, throwing it at Liam's feet and giving him a defiant look, challenging him. "Is that all?" Liam asked. "Yes," she said. "No," Shahin said. He was already being searched thoroughly by Tia. His handgun was full of slick and could no longer be used. He also had a couple of knives strapped to his body. Liam took a step towards the woman, and she lifted her arms sideways for him to search her, daring him to touch her inappropriately. He had to give her this. She had great spirit and wasn't easily scared. In fact, she had only been scared for Shahin and when she had thought Liam wanted to rape her. Considering he was easily 2 heads taller than her and a hulk in comparison to her small frame and softly rounded feminine curves. "Liam," Tyr's voice was hardly audible, but he had seen the spark in his brother's eyes and warned him now. Liam cleared his throat and searched her quickly and efficiently, drawing a few more concealed weapons from her. While he was doing this, he felt her tremble slightly under his touch. Yet she didn't look afraid. Her eyes were blazing with fire. Could it be that she was turned on? The thought gave him an instant hard-on. How could she possibly be turned on when she hated his guts? He ran his hands up her thighs and nearly to the apex above her clothes. A small moan escaped her lips, and at once she bit on her own tongue and slapped Liam hard across the face. "That turn you on?" Liam asked quietly, so only she could hear. Her eyes darted daggers at him, but her chest was rising and falling quite visibly. Oh yes, she was turned on. And so was he. It had been close to a year that he had had the woman, and this one right in front of him was one fine specimen. He straightened himself again to his full height and looked down at her, then swept his hands between and under her breasts to ensure that she wasn't carrying anything there. "Really?" he asked, raising a brow. She whirled away from him, stepped behind a shrub, and took off all her weapons, throwing the blades at Liam's head. They went wide, however, and he didn't even have to duck his head. To his surprise, it was Shaheen who burst out laughing first, while his teammates only chuckled. "Yes, she has been the millstone around her parents' neck always, very headstrong since she was a little girl," he grinned. Obviously, they weren't so happy with whomever they were running from, and now having been rescued. Shaheen's life saved, and the woman being indulged in her antics rather than being disciplined harshly as some other men would perhaps do, especially Iranian ones, Shaheen had decided to trust these seals more than anyone else. The poor man would have a rude awakening. "We have to get going," Shaheen said. "They're after us, and I'm sure more than just a couple." "Ballet," the woman said, and moved quickly. Considering how headstrong and stubborn she was, the fact that she agreed and obeyed at once told the seers more about the danger than Shaheen's words. In these parts, seeing such a headstrong woman was rare. Not that all women were meek, some even strapped bombs to their bodies or those of their children, but they were full of fear and misdirected hatred, and their bark was that of a wounded animal mindlessly snapping at every hand that reached out. To hurt or help, it didn't matter. This woman was different. She was discerning, not hateful. Her aggression was a bluff, not an attitude. Yes, she would not take no for an answer if she didn't get what she thought was her due. But at the same time, Liam was certain she preferred a good discussion over hateful exchanges once she felt safe. And the way she glanced at their weapons as they started walking told him that she was uneasy about firearms more than about the men who carried them. By now he was even quite certain she would not have touched his gun had he not tied her up when he had tried to pull Shaheen out of the slick mud. "So what is your name?" Tia asked her over his shoulder. "Sherazade," she answered. "That's bull," Tia grinned. "But I like the 1001 Nights fairy tale, so I'll just call you Shira for now. I should probably tell you that you'll only get questions once we reach the base, and it's up to you whether or not that's going to be pleasant and quick or not." "I heard Americans torture women," she hissed at him. Tia shrugged. "Not our usual practice, but when there are a lot of American lives at stake, or any lives, I mean, that's math, no more. It's not nice and it's not good, and there is no excuse really, but sometimes it has to be done. Usually it's enough to frighten the women and not actually do anything. Trust me, that's nothing any of us enjoys, and we all try to avoid like the plague," Tia told her. "You're the first American who admits to that in my face." "How many have you met?" Tia countered. "It's not a nice thing to talk about, and I wish I could tell you no one will harm you. I'm not the one doing the interrogations, though, and I know that now Just after recent events with the Iranian general, a lot of men on base are trigger happy. They all lost someone here, and they will not be too patient when it comes to protecting their own. What Tir was telling her was true. Shahin was walking beside them and listened silently. He didn't speak, and Leon was sure he was going to try to strike a deal to protect Shira, as Tir had christened her. Well, not christened in a religious sense. These two people were Muslims, of course. Even language was something Liam questioned more and more these days. He looked down at the ground as they were walking, but kept checking all around him as well, like he was trained to do. To some questions, there was never an easy answer. Silence had fallen over the small convoy of 7 men and 1 woman as they trudged along through the marshes. The way out was much quicker now, and when they reached the first larger free clearing, there was a helicopter to pick them up and fly them out. The people hunting Shahin and Shira were either keeping a wary distance on purpose, or they were really that far behind. Either way, the helicopter lifted off and brought them back to base without any incidents. So, that was from Black Veil. Let me just check up on your hi Tammy. So you all got to take the littles out. Thank you so much for reading and looking forward to reading the rest. Sorry about that. I thought that was clear that this was, but yeah. So Candace, when you're watching the replay, lots of love. Okay, so yeah, that's the romance. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. We've still got some time. I wasn't quite sure if we got, if I have any more time. I did keep a backup here, which is from Balcony Above the Sea. And that's quite a funny one. I can read some of this here to you as well. It's about an author from London who's so fed up with her life that she actually puts all her stuff in storage, rents an apartment in Bulgaria via the internet, and then she just flies out and hopes that she can actually finish one of her books that she's writing in the 4 weeks that she's there, and kind of, find her mojo again in her creative side, because she's got a major case of writer's block as well. But, and she's also fed up with her ex-boyfriend, whom she's still friends with his new girlfriend as well, but they're going on her nerves. So she doesn't want to have. You have beautiful covers. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I've just changed them as well. Although the print books, the paperbacks, they are actually not changed yet, so I haven't had the time to do all that. Working on like 5 projects at the same time and having 3 children also. So yeah, so but she meets this man and everything is totally different. And a Bulgarian man, who has got a sister who's a lesbian and lives with a woman. So she and her life partner, they inviting the brother and the author together to a beach party that they are giving. And so the life partner of the sister is a singer as well in a band, and she sings and her brothers play the instruments. And so they're making music there, and then also they're dancing around, and then people ask Keturah, that's the author's name, to recite something as well. So she's that's the one book that has poetry in it as well, apart from Drew Band of Brothers as well. Okay, so that's the one other novel that has so far poetry in it. Okay, and that's chapter 14, Poetic Explosive, it's called. The drumming of your heart, strong and even, like the steady pulse of Mother Earth, beats a tattoo into my soul, branding me with the ink of your love. The color seeps into my blood, making it boil and churn, while all the while your tender touch, not too light, not too much, continues to travel over my skin, making it burn your name into my essence, your essence into my flesh. And as passion ignites, my tender breasts leak milk, falling as lovers' tears to spill into a white pool at my feet. Your lips and tongue lap at my juice between my tender thighs, and each caress, each stroke and slash elicits moaning cries from my lips. When your fingers glide between them, dripping with the honey seeped from my secret wet hot flesh. I taste myself on your skin. I suckle and lick until you groan and move all the way up. Your lips claim mine in hot possession. Passion ignites the dance of our tongues playing and lashing, while your fist holds me captive, prizing my head back, wound up in my hair to sink your teeth into my tender flesh at the base of my neck. You turn me around, still holding the reins of golden tresses to prove that I'm yours, and while I lie beneath you, pinned down, immovable to the ground, you take me and ride me till my screams abound in so much ecstasy that it finally sets me free. And in rapture, beneath you, I explode. Lubin had sat down in front of her and had only stared at her throughout. She had woven her steps closer to him until she finally knelt before him, her face close to his, eyes burning into his soul. "Who did you write that for, Jeff?" he asked quietly. "It came to me as I spoke, and I spoke it for you." "Did anyone film this?" she asked, turning around. "I did," Sophia said, waving her hand in the air as if she were a student at school. "Good. I need to type it up so it won't get lost," Keturah said and moved closer to Lubin. The guitarist still played beside them. "As I look into your eyes, connect deeply with your soul, my longing finds expression in the taste of your staff, sliding between my lips ever deeper into my mouth where my tongue encircles you, tickles and sucks you. You lead the rhythm of my dance, my head leaping for joy at the beauty of our unity. Sweet lover mine, don't you see? For you and only you I long to be my true self-expressing true desire, because only you can inspire me to express my greatest, grandest, my own divinity. And when you share the elixir of your life's strength with me, I will not spill nor waste a drop. I'll take it all and shun not the slightest bit of your precious gift, your life's essence in the material, quenching my deepest thirst." And then Lubin drew her roughly against him, lowered his head, and a hand came down between their faces. "You're in public," Elisabetta said, and everyone laughed, but it was a heated laugh. Everyone was moved by the sensuality of Keturah's words, her movements, the burning passion in her eyes. "God, I adore you," Lubin groaned and swatted Elisabetta's hand away lightly, as if it were a mere mosquito or fly. "Oh my God," Sophia called, tearing them out of the hypnotic world of drowning in each other's gaze. "Keturah, I've got you an author alert. Your new book is through," Sophia called. "Yes, the one I uploaded last night at the internet cafe," Keturah said. "No, Lubin told me about it and I got it earlier." "You got it?" Keturah asked incredulously. "Yes, of course. I got all your books. I'm so sorry I haven't had time to write any reviews yet. But I will within a week, I promise," Sophia said. "But this one is a new one, see?" She held her phone under Keturah's nose. It was indeed the book she had uploaded earlier. The e-book had already been approved, only the paperback was still pending. Keturah was extremely excited about this. "This is really special," she explained her reaction. I wrote the entire book last night, after Lubin had taken me home. I had a little break and then it just poured out of me. My brother seems to have a very inspiring effect on you, Sophia smiled. Yes, I feel free with him, free to express my authentic self, Keturah rephrased it, and thus reminding everyone of what she had told them upon arrival, that love meant freedom to be. She took Lubin's hand and squeezed it to show her appreciation, and he squeezed back and smiled. Her new book was called True Love, and Sophia read out the title and remarked that it might rather turn out to be a prophetic title. You must read from this, everyone called. Lubin downloaded it on his phone at once and handed the device to Keturah. She thanked him and sat down between his legs, leaning against his powerful chest. He wrapped the blanket around both of them, and Keturah started to read, drawing everyone into her spell once again. By the end of chapter 3, however, she stopped. I'm sorry, I need a break, she said, and reached for the bottle of water Elisabetta had placed beside her. You've read enough, Lubin said. Everyone should buy your book and see how it ends for themselves. Exactly, Sophia said, and raised a cup of wine with Elisabetta and toasted to Keturah. Everyone raised their drinks and toasted to her. Na zdravje, they called, and Keturah was given a cup of wine of her own and raised it to her audience. To the most wonderful and most appreciative audience I've ever had. I love you guys. You're just great. Thank you. Sophia told Keturah she would read all of Keturah's books. She had already started. Keturah looked at her quizzically. But it's about straight couples, the adult ones anyway, she said. Does that turn you on? I love how you write. The feelings it evokes transcends gender questions. I only replaced a handsome man with Elisabetta in my fantasy, and it works very well that way. Sophia smiled and wrapped an arm around her girlfriend, then drew her in for a loving kiss on the cheek. Admittedly, I'm not into reading anyone else's straight romance novels, but you're special, so I read yours, and I really love the storylines and the way you evoke the deepest and strongest feelings so easily. That's what Lubin told me as well, Keturah observed. Huh, if I said it, it must be true then, Lubin laughed. Keturah kissed his cheek, hugged Sophia, and finally asked Elisabetta whether she'd like to sing a bit more. Elisabetta gave her a warm smile, touched her cheek, and got up. I will sing a love song just for you and Lubin, a very romantic Bulgarian one, and then we will celebrate and party, she decreed. Lubin drew Keturah down between his legs again, but this time she sat sideways and looked up into his eyes. He draped the blanket around both of them once more and squeezed her tightly against him. At last, for the very first time, his lips claimed hers in an all-out passionate kiss. So, that was from Balcony Above the Sea. You will also be able to recognize the new cover quite quickly because it's got a balcony on it as well, so can't really miss it. The little apartment that she has is like on a steep hill that, and the from the balcony you can overlook the sea, so that's where the title comes from, Balcony Above the Sea. So, okay, cool, and yeah. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll stick around a bit longer as well. If you want to comment anything, ask anything, and things like that, then even when I get off here, I will actually be there to answer any questions if you have any, and I also add Balcony Above the Sea in a minute. Basically, it's books2read.com/Balcony Above the Sea, all in one. So it's quite easy and it makes sense. So that's how you can usually find all my books. Right. And yeah, I've been on for an hour now, and it was so much fun. Thank you so much for commenting, being here, listening, and spending time with me. It was wonderful. And I'll talk to you later. Lots of love. Night, night.